It's a big world out there and somebody's got to do it. Let's go. Diving into this concept of what missions looks like in today's day and age, and the idea of world missions, it's really shifted. And that's why I titled my video the way I did, because I think what happens when we think of world missions, we think of kind of this person that's going into the bush with a machete and they're in the Congo and going to an indigenous people, or they're going down to South America in some kind of remote jungle and crossing rivers and fighting off anacondas, all to get the gospel to some people. And world missions, there's been a shifting. There's the conceptual idea of world missions has actually shifted. So let's take a step back in time and see where we've come from and see where we're going. So world missions, it's changed. It's not the same anymore. Back in the day, in the 17 and 1800s, to really to talk about a mission was to be a missionary was to be sent. That was really the buzzword. If I was a missionary, I was a person that was sent, and you could be sent either by a denominational board or a missionary board. The thing is, they were the ones that determined who would go and then where that person would go as well. So the big idea in that time was almost all missions came from the West. So in other words, here on this side of the globe, in our corner of the world, the rest of the world received Jesus, the majority of it, from missions that were sent out from the West. Then we move into like the late 1800s and the early 1900s. And we have people like William Taylor, that's a super passionate missionary that wants people to get on fire for missions, especially because there was this idea that Jesus was coming back soon. And our part in Jesus returning to his church was making sure that every tongue would confess and every knee would bow, or we would come alongside by making sure that every person knew the gospel and lined up with that scripture reference. But moving into the 2000s, moving into the 20th and 21st century, there was this real quantification in missions that we see where it was almost like a group think tank happened when it came to indigenous groups and really doing what Paul did for the regions that he would visit. And we would emulate that by equipping indigenous pastors and indigenous leaders and elders and really equipping them. The thing that would really shift in that time was really to be sent, or a person looking to be sent. That concept really didn't exist anymore because there was not only missions throughout the world, but the world kind of came to us with our subgroups of rural missions and church plants here in America and urban missions, and it became so much more broader, and the lines kind of got blurred, if you will. So really, you could go anywhere you want. It doesn't have to be to another country to be a missionary. Another thing that changed as well was with the advent of the 20th century, especially with the AG church coming on the scene, is men and women could both go. It didn't have to be a specific person selected, but if you, by the Spirit, felt the conviction to go and preach the gospel, the AG came alongside and said, yes, go, do, be, love. So the idea that missions was just in the West also kind of went away as well, because as the gospel has gone out into the world, we see that the world is now producing their own missionaries. In this graphic below, you're going to see that missionaries sent from countries, but also missionaries received from countries as well. So you can see, even though the U.S. has the majority, there's still plenty of missions that is going out. And then, of course, I can't not talk about missions and produce a video without talking about church planting here in America. The biblical progressive way of advancing God's church on earth as it is in heaven is by church plants. That's what Paul did. Paul established church plants. And the reason why I'm passionate about it is because I myself am a church planter. And statistically, church plants have the ability to reach upwards of half of their congregants as new converts versus legacy churches that have existed. And we perpetuate church growth here in America by church plants. Or the expansion of churches here in America by church plants. So all that being said, there's tons of material on churches and missionaries and how to get plugged into one. If you have any questions, put it in the comment section down below. But I hope you enjoyed this video. Be blessed. We'll see you later.